Well, apparently February is movie month as 3 coaches have moved on to the NFL, and we've only replaced one thus far, in Austin Armstrong, the defensive coordinator. Well, that leaves an open spot in the tight end coach and the wide receiver coach, which has Florida on a frenzy right now. Gator Twitter, Gator Facebook, wherever you look, everybody wants to know who's going to be taking over the wide receiver / tight end coach. Well, we've got a few names for you guys today. We're going to go over those names and weigh out which one we feel ourselves would be the best fit for Florida Gators going into the next season and allow us to have the most success, not only on recruiting, but on the field as well. Let's get into it. The first name on the list, and probably the most popular name, the name that was tossed out immediately when the news broke, is Ike Hilliard. Former Florida Gator from the 90s, 94, 95, 96, where he won 3 SEC championships plus a national championship while at Florida. He's coming from Auburn, where he was the wide receiver coach there as well, and he was the interim offensive coordinator for a tad bit of time. So it will be interesting to see if he does make that transition, because obviously he's been a wide receiver coach for a while now. I'm sure he's trying to look to take that next step. By him coming to Florida, I wouldn't be surprised if there would be a little bit of promise of, hey, a possible higher role involving with the entire offense and not just the wide receiver core. That would be interesting to see, because I think Ike would be a phenomenal addition to the Florida's coaching staff. Again, being a former Florida Gator, coming in, understanding what the culture is like, understanding what a winning culture is, playing under Spurrier. Would love to have that addition to the locker room, but you got to keep in mind, he has been making the steps forward to move in the right direction. Will this leap allow him to make that next step? And if you're Coach Billy and you understand, well, Ike is pretty close to getting to that next step, how much time will he be spending here as wide receiver coach? And do I want to be in the same position next year looking for a new wide receiver coach if Ike comes here, does a phenomenal job, and somebody picks him off to go be an offensive coordinator or whatever it may be? So that is something to think about and to consider when wanting Ike Hilliard. Again, I think selfishly we would all love him, but think big picture here. Long term, is it the right play? Next, we have Jeff Scott. Currently, he's at Clemson as a quality control position. Was, though, however, the former head coach at USF. And if we all remember as Florida Gator fans, what USF did to us last year, basically brought us down to a last-minute field goal where they would have tied it or won it. I don't remember. I don't want to remember. Although they only walked away with 1 win that season, it would be a great addition to have somebody with head coaching experience underneath your wing as the wide receiver coach. And another big point to note here is what I mentioned about Ike Hilliard and somebody that is looking to move up. Right now, Jeff's in a point where he's just trying to save face. So he's not going to be looking on the way out probably in a year or so, because he's trying to regather himself. He got humbled a little bit. So falling into a Power 5 conference as the wide receiver coach is not that hard of a fallback, but you still get to make an impact and be part of a great program and learn under somebody like a Billy Napier. For me, this is probably one of my favorite options right now due to the fact for longevity. Again, I feel like with Ike Hilliard, I don't know how long that relationship would last. Jeff Scott makes you feel more comfortable. Will he be bought in? We don't need to keep going through this year after year. Billy is trying to establish something, so we need to try to find some coaches that aren't necessarily on the skyrocket to success, but maybe have some great experience and can come in and be able to make an impact, but still have some time to go before they're able to take that next step. Next, we have Dallas Baker, the touchdown maker, former Florida Gator from the 2006 National Championship team. What a nickname. This is another one of my favorite options. One, because I saw him play in 2006, win a national championship. He also won a Super Bowl at Pittsburgh, so this guy is a winner. He understands how to win, and he's got Florida Gator blood in him. So he has that similarity with Ike Hilliard, again, being a Florida Gator, being an alum, understanding what it's like to win in the swamp. But I also feel like he's still on this growth path, not necessarily trying to get to that next step within the next year or so. So again, my concern is getting into this rotation of coaches over the next few years. I feel like he might have a few more years under his belt at wide receiver position. And again, coming back home, playing for your alma mater always has a special place with coaches. And for fans, we enjoy seeing those guys come back. So Dallas Baker, the touchdown maker, will be an absolute treat if Billy could pull that one off. Now, another name that's being tossed around. How much credibility to this name is there? Probably not too much, but it's Brian Hartline. Obviously, that's probably the big names hire. That's the big name splash that everybody's going after. Again, there hasn't been much noise. There's been more just kind of chatter of like, could this happen? I would be shocked if Billy Napier could pull off Brian Hartline. I've got to be honest with you. Why would you leave Ohio State to come to Florida? It really doesn't make sense to me. If the money's right, maybe, but I don't understand where the money would be coming from. Ohio State is an established program doing great things there. I think it's more of just the fans trying to stir something up to find some excitement to get, again, that splash hire. I think Billy has proven to us the splash hire is not his MO. okay? So I think, again, it's more of just the noise to see what's going on. I really don't see this being a thing more than just a rumor or just noise, to say the least. But if you were to pull this off, the spacesuit will come out. The cheers would be excited. I promise you, we will be losing our mind here in Gainesville, Florida, if Billy was able to pull that off because of what Brian Hartline can do in recruiting, the wide receiver cores that he's been able to put together at Ohio. Son, I mean, the what if just gets me fired up, but it's a big what if. Now, according to an On3 article by Nick Delatorre, a few other names that are on the list are Justin Stepp from South Carolina, Tim Legger from Louisiana, James Coley from Texas A&M, and then David Doker, who is a Florida grad assistant. That would be more of an internal hire. Again, not too much of an opinion on those guys. The guys that I mentioned today are kind of my top target, the ones that I'm most focused on, and hope that the Billy Napier and the Florida Gators can pull off. Again, we will see what happens. I'd imagine they would want to get this thing moving here pretty quickly as spring ball starts March 3rd. So I would expect some news here probably in the next week or so. Again, I don't know. I haven't heard much on a hire date, but I couldn't imagine him wanting to go into spring ball without a wide receiver coach in place. Again, Billy was a wide receiver coach. Maybe he feels he can kind of hold his own until then, but I would expect some news to happen soon. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, turn the bell on. We'll be live tomorrow at 8:35. So make sure you guys tune into that one. See you in the next one. Peace.